The theme that I chose for my annotated bibliography is histories, home, people, and places. And my two favorite books are Maybe Something Beautiful, How Art Transformed a Neighborhood by Isabel Campoy and Teresa Howell, and The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963 by Christopher Paul Curtis. My book for the younger grades is Maybe Something Beautiful. It's appropriate for kindergarten through third. And I recently just read this in my practicum class, and the kids really enjoyed it. It's based on a true story of some young students started painting murals in their community, and it just took off into this whole community-based project where they were just painting murals all over the buildings. So it's a really cute book. It has pictures of the real characters in the back. Um, the kids really liked it, and it was funny because when we were reading it, we said, this is a true story, and the kids said, well, how can it be a true story? Our neighborhood isn't like this. And we had to explain to them that it didn't take place in our neighborhood, it took place in another neighborhood. And then we had a whole discussion on where murals are, and some of the children said, I have seen a mural, especially in like St. Pete and more urban areas, you're starting to see a lot of murals, so it's something that the kids can relate to. Um, and the book depicts a bunch of characters of all different um, ethnicities and includes the mention of different ethnic last names. And there's even a couple pages where they're dancing bachata and merengue. So it's a really nice cultural book. For the older grades, I have The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963. I got introduced to this book last semester and I just fell in love with it. It's such a good book. Um, it's about an average family living in Flint, Michigan in 1963, an African American family. And there's just a lot of funny, cute stories and funny stuff that the family goes through. Then the older brother is getting into a lot of trouble, so they decide to take a trip down south to Birmingham, Alabama, where the mother is from. And when they get there, they realize that it's quite different. The South is very different from what they're used to in the North, and they find themselves in the middle of um, the civil rights movement and pushback from the school integration, and they just barely escape um, a church bombing, which is a real bombing that happened called the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. And at first they thought their little sister was in it, but it ended up that she wasn't. And in real life, 4 little girls did die in that bombing. So they head back home, and obviously, there's a lot of trauma involved, but overall, it's a really good story. It's age appropriate way to introduce the topic of the civil rights movement. So I highly, highly recommend this book. This is an excerpt from the end of the book. After they get back home to Michigan after the trauma of the bombing in Birmingham, um, the brother Kenny has been hiding behind the couch for days, if not weeks on end. And finally, his older brother talks to him about what happened. Maybe it was because I hadn't looked in the mirror for a long time, but as soon as I saw myself with my lazy eyes still being lazy and my face looking so sad, I slammed my eyes shut and started crying. I even fell off the toilet. Byron caught me and set me on the floor. He knew this was some real embarrassing stuff, so he closed the bathroom door and sat on the tub and waited for me to stop, but I couldn't. I felt like someone had pulled a plug on me, and every tear inside was rushing out. If there was a forest fire somewhere, all Smokey the Bear would have to do was hold me upside down over it, and the fire wouldn't have a chance. Byron sat next to me on the floor and put my head in his lap. I couldn't stop, even though I was soaking him worse than Joey ever drooled on anybody. It was real embarrassing. I'm sorry, bye. Shut up and cry if you want. That sounded like a real good idea, so I did. I think I cried for about 200 hours. Why would they do that, Byron? I was sounding real bad. My throat was jumping around in my neck and making a bunch of weird noises. Why would they hurt some little kids like that? He waited a long time before he answered. I don't know, Kenny. Mama and Dad say they can't help themselves. They did it because they're sick. But I don't know. I ain't never heard of no sickness that makes you kill little girls just because you don't want them in your school. I don't think they're sick at all. I think they just let hate eat them up and turn them into monsters. But it's okay now. They can't hurt you here. It's all right. This is just a copy of my worksheet that I also um, included and attached in my discussion posts. Just includes a summary, pictures of the book covers, and some activities that you can do with the book. And there's really just so much that you can do with this book. There's so many different themes, so many different literary elements, a lot of character development, and also a lot of really important social studies topics as well. So there's a lot that you can do with this book.